Have you ever sat beside a stranger and suddenly realized that the smile they gave you wasn't kindness, but something darker hiding underneath it? David didn't expect anything unusual that evening. The rain was falling softly against the taxi window, and the city lights danced on the wet streets. Rick, the taxi driver, seemed like an ordinary man, talkative, a bit rough around the edges, but friendly enough. They spoke about the weather, the traffic, the noise of the city that never seemed to sleep. David even smiled a few times, thinking it was going to be one of those peaceful rides where silence was the biggest comfort. But then, as the taxi stopped at a red light, Rick turned his head slowly and asked in a low voice, "So, what do you think about those Muslims, eh?" The question hit David like a slap. The smile faded from his face. Rick's tone wasn't curious, it was poisoned with hate. For a moment, David stayed silent, hoping he'd misheard. But Rick kept talking, his words spilling out like venom. "They come here, take our jobs, change our country. You know how it is." David's heart started racing. The hum of the rain outside couldn't drown the sting of those words. He tried to stay calm, his fingers gripping the seat. Finally, he couldn't hold back. "Do you even hear yourself?" he said sharply. "You're talking about people, not shadows." Rick's face hardened. For 5 long minutes, the car filled with anger and noise. Words clashed like storm clouds ready to break. Then suddenly, Rick laughed awkwardly, like he had realized something. "You know, I actually give money to charity," he said, forcing a smile. "I help people, I'm not a bad guy." David just stared out the window, disgusted and speechless. The city lights blurred, and he wished the ride would end. When he finally stepped out, the rain had stopped, but the air still felt heavy. He wondered what made Rick think he'd agree with such hate. Was it his face, his silence? Or maybe Rick just needed someone to share his poison with. David walked away quietly, knowing one thing for sure: prejudice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it smiles first. If you've ever faced something like this, if you've ever been judged before being known, remember this. Silence can be powerful, but truth spoken with calmness is even more powerful. Don't stay quiet when hate tries to disguise itself as conversation. If you believe humanity deserves better, subscribe to Stained Humanity. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that still need to change.